Alright, as promised, I am going to be doing the rules video now, so here we go. These are going to be the unofficial rules, or I guess for me would be official one chunk at a time rules, but well, everyone has their own rules for these accounts. So in that way they're unofficial, but anyway, here we go. So the top level rules we got are the hardcore Iron Man status. It must be kept. Death means the end of the series. I know I wrote in there it says starting over. Presumably though, you know, I'm not going to do that. So if I die, that's just it for the series. Secondly, chunks can only be unlocked in a specific region until that region is completed. I went into that a little bit at the end of the first episode, and I'll be going into that in a little more detail in a minute here. Thirdly, the account's free-to-play only, which means I am restricted to free-to-play worlds and free-to-play content. Potentially later on, if this series gets more popular, after I complete the entire free-to-play world, I may go on to members account, or on to a members account to do, well, not a members account, it would be the same account, but I'd get membership and potentially go continue my chunk journey there. I don't foresee that happening though, so that is just a very, very big maybe. Fourthly is the wilderness is locked for now. The reason behind this is because of the first rule about the hardcore Iron Man status. I don't know how to PK. I don't know how to escape PKers. Going into the wilderness, for me, at the moment, would be a death sentence. Someone would find me and kill me and end the series right there. So, after we complete the entire free-to-play world that isn't the wilderness, I will consider going and doing the chunks in the wilderness. Now, this is a whole lot more likely than me doing membership, but also still a maybe. So anyways, those are the top level rules out of the way. So what do I need to do to complete a chunk? So all killable NPCs must be killed at least once. So like in the first episode, I had to kill the chickens, the cows. There were ducks that I couldn't kill because I didn't have any ranged option, but as soon as I get a ranged option, I'm going to have to come back and kill them. And the guard, of course. So I had to kill all of those at least once. And of course you can kill them more than once as well, as I did with the chickens. And I think I killed cows a few times too. Okay, and for resources, all primary resources must be gathered and processed at their lowest level. So a primary resource is anything that you can get with a 100% rate. So like the trees in the chunk. Again, I don't have an axe at the moment, so this wasn't a concern for now, but later on it will be. As soon as I get an axe, I have to cut down trees to get the wood cutting level, to cut down the highest level tree in the unlocked area. And then I have to process it at their lowest level, which for trees is using the fire making skill to make a campfire. So, using another example, when we get to a mine and I get a pickaxe, I'll have to mine the highest level ore, and then smith something with it. So I'm going to make it so I can't just smith a bar. I'm going to have to also use that bar, because it will be considered a primary resource, as I can get it with a 100% rate from a furnace using the ore, obviously. And for weapons and armor, the best in slot, which is it's going to be kind of hard to measure what best in slot actually is, but we'll kind of play that one by ear as we go on. But whatever the best in slot armor or weapon is, must be wielded at least once. And this is only from primary means of obtaining these things. So for weapons and armor, that's almost certainly going to be a shop, and not an NPC drop. And more on that in a minute. So, lastly, for completion of a chunk, all quests must be started as soon as you can start them in a chunk, and finished as soon as you can finish them. So most quests, and I think in fact all of them, are going to require me to go outside of one specific chunk. So, to complete it, it'll just be completed once the chunk is unlocked that is required to complete it. I hope that made sense. So what is not needed? First thing, any RNG drops. So, like, in the first chunk here, the guard that is in the chunk has a chance to drop an iron dagger. Now, for me to complete the chunk, I just have to kill the guard. I don't have to get that drop. And, as I was saying a minute ago, for best in slot weapons, while for my first chunk, the iron dagger technically would be the best in slot weapon that I could get, I don't have to get it to complete the chunk, as it is RNG to get it, and not a primary means of getting it. It would be, well, RNG, so a secondary means. And secondly, no members content, as this is a free-to-play only account for the time being. So, for unlocking chunks, you go by region. So I have them drawn out here, kind of roughly on the map to the side. I went over it a little better on the end of episode 1, with the chunks actually up on the map and talking about what they are. But anyways, a region is just the predefined area around a location of interest. So I have done this based entirely off of villages for the most part, or towns, or just large areas of a very similar thing. So the reason I picked the farm for the starting area is it borders 4 other regions and gives us a lot of opportunity at the very beginning to see what direction the account goes in. So don't watch this unless you've watched episode 1, because I am about to spoil where the second region is. Anyway, the second region is going to be the Remington region, which is right to the west of where that big X and arrow are at on the map that is my starting chunk. So I have to complete everything in the little outlined area there, obviously using chunk borders, and again, in the end of episode 1, you can see the chunk borders, and I said what the Remington chunks are going to be. So I have to complete all of those before I'm allowed to move outside of the Remington area. So, after I complete all of the Remington chunks, I then get to roll to see what new area I'm going into, which at that time would either be Falador, Draenor, or Port Sarim. Or actually, I think the Feldup Hills would be part of it, since there's the boat that you can take from the little dock thing. You can kind of see it just south of the Melzar's Maze. So anyway, we don't need to get into that right now, but that is what the unlocks are for. So those are going to be the rules for now. They are open to changing a little bit if I've forgotten something or overlooked something, but I'm going to be sticking to the spirit of these rules until the end of the series. So thanks for watching the rules video here, and feel free to comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Have a great day, everybody.